Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we continue our journey through the current Bethune catalog, and frankly, you know you've arrived as a consumer market when you get a regional special edition, and that's exactly what we have today. The folks at DB have given the United States market its own limited edition of 10 pieces. This is the DB28 Kind of Gold, launched at Watches and Wonders Miami in February of 2019. This model takes everything that's wonderful about the DB28 Kind of Blue and adds warm Miami-themed rose gold. 42.7 millimeters in diameter, the watch sits on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist quite easily. It's not thick. 11.4 millimeters thick means it's actually slimmer than a Rolex Daytona, and you can wear that with any cuff. So by extension, you can wear this with any cuff. But this is not a watch to disappear under your sleeve. It has a wonderful variable geometry system via the floating lugs that you're going to want to show off. The new just right, should we say Goldilocks style lug system, spans 51 to 55 millimeters depending on your wrist size. It has the ability to ebb and flow, and that flexibility, spring-loaded, is what makes this watch large but an ergonomic miracle in practical terms. Now the strap that's fitted is a shipping strap because this watch is actually traveling out to Watch Time LA. It's equipped with alligator leather in its production variant, but it's equipped with calfskin as you see here. Blue alligator is what you get, make no mistake, and it's gator top and bottom on the standard factory strap. Now, the broad spacing of that strap deserves some mention, as it's an extraordinary 26 millimeters, so you're going with a factory strap or you're going with a custom on this particular watch. The nice thing about it, though, is that the width of the strap matches the width of the case, which is broad, and the design of the clasp matches the design of the lugs. So here we are with the pin buckle, rendered in the same blued grade 5 titanium, nicely branded, and this actually begs mention of a special accommodation the factory makes when servicing your watch. You scratch and you scuff even beautifully fired and coated surfaces. Eventually, something needs to be done, and the good news is Bethune can do it. They can resurface the blued titanium of this grade 5 case as well as your grade 5 buckle. So that ability to restore the finish again and again and again is one of the key selling points of the brand. Now here we have a combination of fire and ice. We have that blued titanium, which is a signature of the brand and has been since it was patented in the early 2000s, and then we have a warm rose gold case with a double knurling about its bullhead style screw down crown. You can see flanking the pusher adjuster for the moonphase, there are spring-loaded lugs, and of course the watch defined by the combination of lug and case as well as the open dial side movement. The caliber basically is the dial. Let's give ourselves a bit more light and get a bit closer. Focusing in so we can see to good advantage, there are a few features that deserve to be called out. The first is the 360-degree bihemispherical moonphase display. You can see it's driven by a pinion inboard that has 135 teeth, therefore it has a correction interval of once every 122 years. In other words, you're not going to be using that pusher adjuster on the case flank too often. Now it's comprised of two halves. One is actually golden oxidized steel, and the other is palladium in white. So one hemisphere is white, one hemisphere is gold. You'll also appreciate the fact that the entire balance bridge has been specular polished, that's black polished, and then blued itself. Outboard you can see the triple parachute system. There's a shock spring on each side of the balance. This was patented in 2005. It's an in-house innovation of Bethune, and you can see at center the standard Inca block shock protection for the balance staff, so 3 shock protection systems. This is a sporty watch and a tough watch. The dog leg profile to the hairspring, which you can see is a little bit off-centered, helps this flat hairspring to breathe concentrically with centered mass, so it keeps good time in any orientation, just like a Breguet overcoil, but without the fragility and vulnerability of a Breguet overcoil. That particular design was patented by Bethune in 2006. Now underneath is their 2016 model balance wheel. I mention that because the company has over half a dozen proprietary balance wheel designs, and through every generation it refines. This one has an enormous polar moment with all the mass in the rim via several white gold masses. You can see them, they're circular in form, and the actual wheel is made of blued titanium. All of the mass is in the rim. It's also profiled to reduce aerodynamic drag, Bethune being one of the few companies that is actually thinking about that. Now you can't see the escape wheel, but it's a proprietary design, of course, in silicon, which means there's a long service interval for this watch, as it's not susceptible to the typical degradation of friction status at the escapement between the anchor and the escape wheel because of that silicon surfacing. Now zooming out a little bit, you can see this is a caliber that doubles as a dial, and the movement has a name. It's the twin mainspring barrel. Two 115 V4 manual wind twin mainspring barrels, self-adjusting underneath a giant Delta-style barrel bridge. 6-day power reserve. You can see there's a little stub golden hand at about 3 o'clock that serves as a dial side power reserve indicator, and then you turn the watch over and you can actually see the entire power reserve mechanism, including a caseback power reserve with a small soleil or sun index for the 6 days of reserve de marche. A beautiful satin graining across the wheels as well as the lever of the power reserve system. You get a little bit closer, you can also see there is a lush, one might even say gratuitous, engine turning across the back of the watch and a chapter ring in blue titanium. Decadence, excess, that's the definition of luxury, and it's done with impeccable manners. Turn the watch over, and you can see the dial animated not just by the balance wheel, but also a black polished center bridge that actually covers the motion works for the hands, which are themselves red gold. Outboard, the chapter ring for the hours is all blued grade 5 titanium, fire blued, as the case itself, and you can see that it's festooned with wonderful diamond polished red gold hour indices. It's an easy watch to read because of the contrast between the blue titanium and the red gold. You'll also note Côte de Bethune, wonderfully vertically arrayed across the bridges as well as the plate of the movement beneath. This is a watch that puts it all together. The junction of art and science in a single 42.7mm form on your wrist. Evanescent, gossamer, graceful, and unlike anything else in the world of watches. It's the starship for your wrist, the DB28, kind of gold, 10 pieces for the US market.